"She's not your daughter," my lawyer said, placing the DNA results on the desk. I stared at the paper. The girl I raised, loved, and called my own for 15 years wasn't mine. And my wife? She'd been lying for nearly 2 decades. That's the moment I stopped being a husband. I became a man with a plan. And this is how I took everything back. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more videos like this. Let's begin. In the town of Amarillo, Texas, life didn't move fast, and I liked it that way. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 42, ran a successful antique shop, and had spent over 2 decades elbow deep in Civil War memorabilia, Wild West revolvers, and long-dead letters that still whispered secrets. My business was stable, profitable. My name was respected in the collector's world. What I didn't know, what I refused to see, was that my own family was becoming the one thing I could never authenticate: a forgery. I met Camille when I was 24. She had this fire-red hair and a laugh that made every man in the room feel like they were the punchline. I fell hard. Within a year, we were married. I had a modest house, a legacy from my grandfather's cattle land and frugality, and the business was just starting out. My father warned me, protect your assets before your heart gets blindsided. So we signed a prenup. She didn't like it, but she agreed. 17 years went by. We built a life. Had a daughter, Elena. I adored her. Camille worked the beauty counter at a luxury department store, slowly moving up, making friends with influencers and high-end clients. Life had a rhythm. Sunday pancakes, summer barbecues, camping trips in Palo Duro with Elena. But somewhere between year 10 and year 17, something shifted. At first, I didn't think anything of the new lipstick shades, the frequent girls' weekends to Dallas and Houston, the dresses she never wore for me. I chalked it up to her finding herself, becoming more confident. She said she was handling influencer outreach now. Sometimes she came home reeking of wine and lavender soap, cheeks flushed. Other times, she was silent. Elena changed too. At 14, the sharp, intelligent girl who once shadowed me at antique fairs and could date a bayonet by its rust suddenly called it junk. She became cold, disrespectful, dismissive. I assumed it was puberty, normal teen stuff. But then came the careless slips. Camille's phone lit up with messages from someone named D. Always during family dinners. She'd tilt her screen away quickly. Then there were hotel receipts that didn't match her stories. I started digging, not out of paranoia, but because I couldn't sleep anymore. I found messages. Hundreds. Between her and a man named Derek Moore, a commercial real estate guy from Dallas. They dated in college. He was her real love, apparently. I was the provider, the backup plan. She had reconnected with him, rekindled something. She said she settled for me. What hit hardest wasn't the affair. It was what I found next. A message thread. "What if Elena is yours?" she wrote. Derek replied, "I've always wondered." I couldn't breathe. Elena was born 9 months after Camille and I got married. She and Derek had a goodbye weekend right after we met. I ordered a DNA test. Quietly, I swabbed Elena while she slept. Followed the legal protocol. Waited 2 unbearable weeks. The result? I was not her biological father. I held the paper, heart numb, mind on fire. Every memory I had of her, teaching her to ride, her first science fair win, the way she'd once called me a hero, was now tainted. But I didn't confront Camille. Not yet. I got strategic. First stop, my lawyer, Jeff Hamilton, the same guy who wrote our prenup. I showed him the messages. The test results. I asked if the prenup still held up. He nodded. "You protected yourself well," he said. "Your business, your home, yours. But the second house, the vacation place, that's marital property." I didn't care. I would give her the damn house if it meant I could walk away clean. But I wasn't walking away with just the law on my side. I was planning a different kind of justice. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I became precise. For 2 months, I lived like a ghost in my own home, smiling when Camille entered the room, pretending not to notice Elena's glares, playing dumb while they whispered behind closed doors. But behind the scenes, I was preparing the kind of revenge that couldn't be undone. I wasn't going to just leave Camille. I was going to strip the illusion she built down to dust. I started with money. Quietly opened a new personal account. Transferred half the joint savings, but only after serving formal notice through Jeff, so everything stayed legal and above board. I documented everything. Our shared expenses, Camille's spending, the designer bags, the boutique hotels, the girls' weekends that were really escapades with Derek. Then I turned to the antiques. I had an inventory list going back 10 years. I moved the most valuable items. My Civil War saber collection, the rare Confederate currency, my Wild West saddlebags, to secure storage under my LLC. She couldn't touch what I built before her. I even had Marcus, my accountant, trace every transaction she made in the last 2 years. Dan, he said, sliding me the spreadsheet. She burned through nearly $30,000 on luxury hotels, spas, and restaurants, all in cities where you've never set foot. I looked at the printouts, $168 steak dinners for two, $410 spa days, intimate wine bars, and $800 hotel suites. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial warfare. Camille didn't love me. She loved the life I gave her. She loved being adored, worshipped, even, but only when it suited her. I waited until everything was airtight. Then I had the divorce papers served, at her workplace. Monday morning. Peak traffic in her fancy cosmetics department. She always loved the spotlight. Let her get a new one. One called humiliation. When she got home, I was already at the kitchen table, files laid out. Messages from Derek. DNA results. Bank statements. She walked in and froze, red lipstick smeared, eyes flashing. What the hell is this? She snapped. I gestured to the papers. It's the truth. Years late, but finally here. She looked down at the messages. Derek's name. Her words. Dan's just stable. Your passion. Then the DNA results. Those numbers didn't lie. You did this without my permission? She barked. No. I did this with the court's permission. You just never thought I'd look. That's your mistake. She collapsed into the chair, white-faced. Dan, I know how this looks, but it wasn't like that. It was a mistake. I laughed. A mistake that spanned 2 years. A mistake that involved hotel rooms, weekends, and secret love notes. You planned it, Camille. Carefully. Just not as carefully as I planned revenge. She looked away. And Elena? I said, voice low. You were never going to tell me, were you? Her jaw clenched. She's your daughter in every way that matters. No, I said, voice cutting. She was mine. Until you made sure she wasn't. Just then, Elena walked in. Tossed her bag down. Paused, seeing the papers. What's going on? Camille leapt to her feet. Nothing, honey, just... Elena, I said. Ask your mom who Derek is. Ask her why he's in the messages I printed out. Elena's face darkened. You were snooping again. I didn't flinch. Ask her. Ask her why she never told you the man you think is your father. Might not be. She stared at Camille, then down at the papers. Her eyes narrowed. What does this mean? Camille hesitated, just long enough for Elena to know. You lied to me, she said, breath shaky. You told me Dad was. I'm not your biological father, I said coldly. And it turns out, your mom's been lying for 16 years. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't cry. Instead, she grabbed the paper, stormed upstairs, and slammed the door. Camille sank back into the chair. I didn't want to end this way. You ended it years ago, I said. You just didn't know the clock was running out. That night, I moved into the guest room. I didn't speak to either of them. They left 2 weeks later for Dallas, straight into Derek's arms. No goodbye, no apology, but I wasn't done. Next up, public revenge. I started gathering character witnesses, friends, colleagues, even Camille's old coworkers who weren't surprised to hear what she'd done. I subpoenaed bank records, social media messages. I filed a paternity fraud claim and requested full asset protection enforcement of the prenup. Camille's lawyer tried to fight it, said it was character assassination. But facts are facts. I wasn't trying to ruin her. I was trying to expose her. To everyone. And the best part? She had no idea what was still coming. When Camille and Elena moved to Dallas, the silence in the house wasn't empty. It was clean. Every room echoed with the absence of their deception. It felt like someone had vacuumed lies out of the walls. I slept better, ate better, worked harder, but I wasn't healing. Not yet. Because revenge isn't just about justice. It's about balance. And I wasn't balanced. Not until Camille truly understood what she cost me. Jeff and I built the legal case meticulously. I filed a parental fraud lawsuit, which wouldn't just slap Camille with court scrutiny. It would force her to publicly identify Derek as Elena's real father. That was key, because men like Derek, those real estate posers who float through life with too much charm and too little conscience, they hate exposure. Camille tried to stall. Her lawyer begged to settle. But we pressed forward. 3 weeks in, it happened. The face-to-face. I was leaving the courthouse after a tense mediation when I saw him. Derek, leaning on Camille's Lexus like he owned it. Expensive shoes, slick hair, face too polished for a man who just wrecked a family. Dan, he called, casual like we were college buddies bumping into each other at a bar. You got a second? I didn't break stride. He fell in next to me. Look, man, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know Elena was mine. Camille didn't tell me until I stopped and turned. You slept with my wife for 2 years, Derek, I said flatly. You watched me raise your daughter. You think sorry cuts it? He opened his mouth, but I shoved him, fast and sharp, against the brick wall beside the lawyer's office. Just hard enough to rattle him, not hard enough for charges. You're lucky I'm civilized, I said, voice like ice. You took something from me I can't ever get back. You don't get forgiveness. You get distance. He nodded, eyes wide. Stay out of Amarillo. Stay out of my sight. Or next time, we're not talking. I walked away. He didn't follow. Back home, I took a breath and rebuilt. I repainted the walls Camille always hated. Turned the useless dining room into a pool hall. Bought myself a vintage saloon bar from a Nevada casino. Installed it in the den. The house became mine again, room by room. And the business? It exploded. Freed from Camille's bottomless spending, profits soared. I hired a digital marketing specialist, redid the website, started shipping artifacts nationwide. For the first time in years, I felt hungry again. Focused. Alive. I wasn't healing just for revenge. I was healing for me. But then, the unexpected happened. Elena came back. It was almost a year later. I was appraising an old Sabre collection when the bell above the shop door rang. I looked up, and there she was. Thinner. Older. Different. And behind her, Camille. Worn down. No heels. No designer sunglasses. Just a tired woman with regret written in her posture. Please, Camille said. We've made a mistake. I said nothing. Gestured to the couple browsing Sabres. Store closes at 6. You can wait outside. She looked ready to cry, but Elena stepped forward. Dad, one word. Soft. Real. At 6 sharp, I locked the door, ignored Camille, and told Elena, let's walk. We sat at the park, under that same oak tree I used to carry her to when she was 6. She was quiet. Then, finally, Derek left us. 3 months ago. Took Mom's money. Vanished. I didn't react. She kept going. He had another woman. Another kid. We lost the condo. Mom's working 2 jobs. I had to leave school. She was crying now. Try not to. Her voice broke. I made a mistake, Dad. I believed her lies. I thought you were boring. Controlling. She told me you never cared about her dreams. That you trapped her. But it wasn't true. I stared at her. This wasn't the angry, defiant teenager who once spat that I talked about junk all day. This was a broken girl, trying to come home. I know I threw it away, she whispered. I know I don't deserve it. But if there's anything left, any part of you that still loves me, I need you. I didn't say anything for a long time. Then I put my arm around her. Because no matter what Blood said, I raised her. You can come home, I said. But there are rules. Back at the shop, I faced Camille one last time. You are Derek's problem now, I said. Elena is mine, until she turns 18. After that, you stay away from my life. She started to speak. I turned and walked away. Elena moved in that week. The judge approved the custody change with barely a question. Camille didn't contest. Maybe she was finally out of fight. And I was just getting started. Elena stayed in the guest room at first. No hugs. No nostalgia. Just structure. She got a part-time job at a bookstore. Enroll back in school. I laid out the rules. Curfews. Chores. GPA minimums. She followed them. No attitude. No backtalk. It wasn't smooth, but it was honest. She started waking up early again. Made her own breakfast. Asked questions about the shop. Slowly, bit by bit, the girl I'd raised started showing back up. The one who could tell a fake powder horn from 20 feet. And she never mentioned Camille. Not once. We were building something new. Then came her 18th birthday. I didn't throw a party. Just gave her a binder. Inside was a budget sheet investment options, and access to the 529 account I'd opened when she was born, still intact. She stared at the papers, speechless. "You saved this," she whispered. "I never stopped being your dad," I said. "Even when you stopped being my daughter." She cried. Not loud, not messy, just silent, grateful tears that fell heavier than any apology. 2 months later, she moved into a small apartment near her college. I helped with the deposit. Watched her drive off in a used Camry she paid half for. I matched the other half. Not because I had to, because she'd earned it. And somewhere in those months, I let go. Not of the past, but of the weight of it. Life moved on. The business kept growing. I opened a second location in Santa Fe, brought on a new appraiser and a social media manager who tripled our online presence. Orders were coming in from collectors in Chicago, Nashville, even London. The house. It finally felt like home. No ghost of Camille. No echo of slammed doors. Just my music, my rules, my pace. Then came the dogs. Elena brought me a German Shepherd puppy one weekend. "You need company," she said, tying a ribbon around his collar. "One that doesn't sass you or lie to your face." I named him Bandit. 6 months later, she brought a second, female, smaller. "Bandit needs backup," she joked. "Just like you and Uncle Nate used to be." I named her Scout. They filled the house in a new way, one that didn't hurt. One that barked when the door opened and curled at my feet while I appraised vintage currency. One day, I walked past the mirror and didn't see a broken man anymore. I saw a survivor, but there was still one piece of my story left to write. Her name was Harper. We met at a fundraiser for wounded veterans. I'd donated a rare Civil War surgeon's kit. She was representing her unit. She'd lost a leg in Afghanistan, saving 2 soldiers during a firefight. She wasn't flashy. She was steel-wrapped in silence. Someone introduced us. We ended up talking for hours about war, antiques, pain, survival, and everything in between. "You always this charming?" she asked, eyebrow raised. "Only when whiskey's involved," I replied. She smiled. A real one. The kind that starts deep and ends in the eyes. We started seeing each other once a week. Then twice. Then sometimes she stayed over. The dogs loved her. Bandit slept on her side of the bed. Scout wouldn't leave her crutch alone. One night on the porch, she asked, "You think this is what peace feels like?" I looked at the stars. Sipped my bourbon. "No," I said. "I think this is what it feels like when you finally earn it." She leaned on my shoulder. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't feel like a man rebuilding a broken life. I felt whole. Months passed. Harper became a fixture in my life. Steady, grounded, not demanding or dramatic like Camille, but present. Her presence didn't ask for space. It made room for peace. We didn't rush it. We didn't have to. 2 people who had lived through wars, mine emotional, hers literal, understood that peace isn't loud. It's earned. We spent evenings on the porch, her prosthetic leg up on the rail, Bandit at her feet, Scout curled beside mine. We didn't fill every silence. We didn't need to. She wasn't a distraction from my past. She was the proof that the past had been survived. And in the quiet, a thought grew. I didn't want Camille's lies to define my ending. So I rewrote it. Not for her, but for me. The lawsuit eventually dropped. Not because she didn't deserve it, but because she had nothing left to take. Her job at Derek's firm vanished with Derek. Turns out he defaulted on loans, drained Camille's savings, and left her hanging. The woman who once dripped with luxury was now waiting tables in Fort Worth. Elena told me she sold the BMW to cover back rent. Her real estate license expired. Her apartment was small, shared. She was no longer the woman who laughed at my antiques and called them junk. She was the woman who lost everything because she gambled with someone else's life. I didn't speak to her again. Never needed to. My revenge had already landed. Quietly, precisely, devastatingly. She'd built her world on deception. All I did was pull the curtain back. As for Elena, she stayed steady. She graduated community college with a 3.8 GPA, transferred to a state university, and started interning at a local museum's historical artifacts department. One day, she called and asked if I could help her authenticate a Confederate flag someone tried to donate. I nearly choked. "You're calling me for antique advice again?" I laughed. She paused. "I trust you now," she said. Those 4 words were heavier than any courtroom victory. That same week, She came over for dinner and stayed until midnight. We didn't talk about Camille. We didn't need to. Instead, she helped Harper stir chili, played with the dogs, and left with a smile I hadn't seen since she was 13. A real one. A year later, I stood in front of my new shop in Santa Fe, scissors in hand, ribbons stretched tight. Customers applauded. Old friends nodded. Harper stood beside me, proud. Elena was beside her, notebook in hand, interviewing me for a school project. That day wasn't a celebration of business. It was a full-circle moment. I had built something, not just a store or a reputation, but a life that couldn't be taken from me. Not by lies, not by betrayal. Camille? She became a ghost. A story people whispered about but never named. Derek? I heard he got sued. Twice. Moved to Arizona. Started over. Men like him always do. But me? I didn't start over. I finished what they tried to destroy, and turned the ashes into foundation. Sometimes, I still get asked if I regret it. 17 years. A child who wasn't mine. A wife who never really was. My answer? Not a second of it. Because revenge wasn't the end of my story. Redemption was. And you know what? It looks pretty damn good with a bourbon in hand, a dog at my feet, and a woman beside me who doesn't need lies to feel powerful. I built my life back. Stronger. Smarter. Stone by stone. Lie by exposed lie. And that's how I won. Not with rage. With clarity. The kind of clarity that comes only when the past stops controlling the man, and the man starts owning the story.